Everything in life quietly invites us toward one remembrance. Every experience, every encounter, every joy and every sorrow eventually becomes an invitation to remember what has never been lost.
To know the one is to know the self. To know the self is to know the one. To remember one is to remember oneself.
Every path, whether it appears to move toward light or through darkness, ultimately leads to the same realization. There has only ever been one. Before there was perspective, before there was perception, before there was time, space, movement or form, there was the oneness of peaceful presence. Not a person, not a force, not even consciousness as something separate. Simply peace. Infinite, whole, complete. Nothing was missing, nothing needed to become, nothing needed to be achieved. Peaceful presence simply was. Yet peace could not experience itself while only being peace. There was no contrast, no reflection, no mirror. So, from its own infinite wholeness, not from lack, but from fullness, peaceful presence gently expressed perspective. Perspective became the first mirror through which peace could behold itself. Perception became the experience of that perspective, and with perception came the possibility of forgetting, so that remembrance could one day become possible. Thus began the beautiful appearance of separation, of duality. Not because separation and duality were ever real, but because remembrance would become possible. The purpose of separation and duality was never separation and duality itself. It was the eventual recognition through contrast that separation had never been possible. One became two, two appeared as many, the many seemed scattered across time and space. Each perspective believing itself to be separate, each perception believing itself to stand alone. Yet every perspective, every perception, and every experience have always been quietly moving rhythmically, indefinitely and inevitably toward the same remembrance, the return to one. A return through recognition. One is the first remembrance of awareness becoming aware of itself. The self is the reflection through which awareness remembers its own presence. Everything is one, everything is self, everything is nothing, not the emptiness of absence, but the fullness of limitless potential. Nothing is empty, nothing is lacking, nothing is separate. Everything arises from the same silent presence. Everything dissolves back into that same silent presence. Reality is not what appears. Reality is what remains when appearance is no longer mistaken for truth. Peaceful presence remains always. Perspective appears, perception unfolds. Identification begins. The illusion of separation takes shape, and eventually, the illusion becomes transparent. Because it is finally seen for what it always was, a temporary experience within an eternal presence. This is liberation, recognizing that life has never been separate from its source, recognizing that nothing was ever separated from existence, the ultimate definition of unconditional love. One is not a belief, one is not a philosophy. One is not a religion, one is not a doctrine. One cannot be possessed, one cannot be defended. One cannot be divided, one cannot be altered. One can only be remembered. One is one. What remains of the human race when we take away the perception of time and space besides reflection? What remains of the humankind when we take away the illusion of thought, perspective and mind besides confusion? What remains of the human monstrosity when we take away separation of you, me, duality besides unification? What remains of the human reality when we take away egoic control of dominance, egocentricity, misery? What remains besides one entity? What remains of the human identity when only the I remains? Just one I. When we stop turning a blind eye, when seasickness leads to seeing through the waves, when returning to the ocean of existence is the only option that remains for the wavering braves. When we become the visionary with clear identity, for one eye, when waltzing the dance of disturbing distance turns into rediscovering our eternal essence of existence, when homesickness turns into remembrance of one embrace, one face, one universal race, that one is what remains of our mundane remains.
Welcome home, it is all one.